Hello, it's me, and it's time to wind into the finale of the corner cutting series. So what exactly am I building towards here? Well, we talked about the dinos, we talked about the skewbs, the different types of superficial and deep slice corner turners, and the various strategies and different variations of that. And we looked at the ultimate hybrid, which is the Dino Skewb. Nice and fun puzzle, especially when it's properly lubricated. Tom Z's fascinating creation. Well, the next step that we move to upon doing this is looking to see what kind of variations we get with the puzzles that we have. When looking at that, I introduced the concept of how the Dayan Gems all have homologies with different types of corner cutters. If you look at this as the face and these as the corners, then you can see that this is the face. These move just like dinos. So this moved, the Dayan Gem 3 moved kind of like a dino, but actually more like a Super X. The reason being is that you have face turning capacity, just like you have face turning capacity over here, and that's in addition to corner turning capacity, just like you have corner turning capacity over here. So that's easy to see. Then we introduced the F Skewb, and the F Skewb was, well, kind of a midway between a dino and a skewb. You had some characteristics of both, but the point being is we introduced the fact that the Dayan Gem 5 is really just a modification of this. And this is even more exactly like its homologous cube version, in that you have, if we were to lay it on here, might as well do it like this. These two represented the centers, and then you had the dino cuts here with a small corner, just like a small corner here. So this is equivalent to this slice over here. And if we were to turn it over here, this skewb slice is equivalent to this skewb slice over here. So we showed some pretty good homologies with that. Well, why don't we extend that even further on and look at the Dayan Gem equivalent to the Dino Skewb. Well, if I were to take this and not only do dino cuts, but actually cut it through the center here to do an equivalent of a skewb cut like this, then I would have something that looks exactly like the Dayan Gem 3, but it gives me my dino cut, which is superficial, but it also gives me a skewb cut. So as you can see, this Dayan Gem version is exactly like the Dino Skewb. It has exactly the same cuts. And if I were to do a homologous relationship with this in terms of what goes with what, these are the corners. You can see these are the center portions of the corners. You've got some edges over here, and then you're right into the centers over here. So we've got corners, or rather we have centers, we have an edge, we have further centers, and then in terms of this side over here, basically one, if you were to look at the homologies over here too, if you look at what makes up the corner, it's going to be that which represents closest over here. Now this center portion here is like if I chop this down, then you'd see the hidden center. That's what this represents. You do have a couple more pieces than you normally would. So you've got the center here, well, the central area here, then you've got these edges. What these represent actually is they represent these guys here. This, this, and this. 1, 2, 3 represents 1, 2, 3. Now, what am I 1, 2ing, and 3ing? Well, this triangle here, which is just adjacent to another triangle, represents these edge portions of the corner slice here. So this, and this all have homologies to this, this, and this. This, and this. These triangles, notice it doesn't have a triangular portion on the other side. These are extra pieces. This is what's different about this puzzle over here, in that it has actual extra pieces. This is rolled in with the center. So these little triangles here are actually rolled in with these centers here, not these. So these two are represented by this and this, these two. This is a hidden piece that's in between here. So it's an extra piece that we have to deal with. So the solve of this is exactly the same with a couple of important differences. One, just like with the F Skewb version of this, these triangles have specific orientations, these triangles don't. So too, these triangles, once they're reduced, have specific orientations. These ones here, and might be easier to see if I just reduce it, but here, here, and here, these don't have specific orientations, but we have extra pieces that we have. So if I were to take this down over here, take this down over here, I've got my centers, but I've got these pieces as part of the centers. So I can, if I were to solve this just like a Dino Skewb, I'd end up with having to deal with these center edge pieces over here. I say center edge because they kind of belong with these over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how would I deal with those? Because we did not have anything like that. But here's the good news with this one. The good news is I've got a very easy algorithm to get us through that. So let's once again take our analogies and complete our analogies. We've got the Super X, which is very much like, sort of like the Dayan Gem 3. Bring this back here, bring this back up here, reminding us of these homologous turns over here. Our F Skewb portion here, we'll take this back like so, and this over here like so. Actually, let me do this again, but in a way that looks a little more pretty, maybe. Put this over here, put this over here. So we've got these, haha, homologies over here. Anyway, take this back, and now we have this over here, which moves exactly like the Dino Skewb. So this is a modification of the Dino Skewb. So if you were lamenting at not being able to get this, well, you can get this. It's the same thing. So one solve is exactly like the other. And to be honest with you, I'm going to solve it in exactly that way. So if you looked at the Dino Skewb tutorial, which I would encourage you to do, just to get some background information, I'm going to solve this exactly the same way. The movement of this puzzle, I'll tell you, be very careful with it, because pieces do tend to pop, but they don't just pop, they shatter. And at one point I was doing a move, it was not really particularly hard move, but when I did it, an entire section just flew apart, leading me to quite a number of hours of reassembly. This is a difficult puzzle to reassemble. So be very careful with this one. It's actually very delicate. But what I wanted to go over is the one algorithm that you're going to need to deal with these single triangles that are adjacent to the center. So let's go after the one algorithm that you're going to need to know. Now one thing to notice is I'm going to call this Dino move R and this a U, just for ease of description. So if I were to do this, R, U, R, I, U, R, U, R, I, U. You'd think, so what? Big deal. Didn't do anything. But what if I do a Skewb move over here, which isolates this single triangle, center triangle, away from everything else? Let's try it again and see what happens. We'll go R, U, R, I, U, R, U, R, I, and U. Moving it very carefully so I don't end up having to do yet another reassembly. Anyway, so what happened here, everything is really the same. I can move this back and you see everything was the same except these two. What happened here is, notice that I did a little bit of a rotation. This triangle, this edge piece went over to here, this one over to here, and this one over to here. So actually there was a rotation here that you couldn't see when they were all the same color. So this is a way that I can take these and move them all around the puzzle. By doing RU, RIU, by going in a U direction, I basically rotated these in a clockwise way by doing a U rotation. So if I do the opposite, doing LI, UI, LUI, LI, UI, LUI, I should be able to rotate it back. So we'll do LI, UI, L, UI, LI, UI, L, UI. And sure enough, it rotated that back. So that's the only algorithm that you're going to need to know in order to deal with these extra pieces. And that's it. The rest is really kind of a simplified Dino Skewb solve. So let's go through this and see how the perspective affects things. So I'm just going to show some motion here. Again, I'm moving this very carefully. It's a very fragile, put together puzzle. Dino move, Skewb move. That's how I'm going to define it. So I'm just going to do a bunch of dinos and a bunch of Skewbs and get this thing all scrambled up in a way that's a good challenge. So I will come back with this in a little bit after we've done a full scramble. Alakazam. Okay, so again, we're going to solve this exactly like this. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to find the right homologies? Because a good thing about this method is you don't have to remember things, you don't have to learn any algorithms. It's really pretty intuitive based on this. Well, remember that my solve of this was based on a double reduction strategy. I reduced it to an F Skewb, and then reduced it to a Skewb, and then solved it as a Skewb. So this was kind of the progression that I did. Well, I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to take this and reduce my Gem 4 to a Gem 5. I'm going to take my Gem 5 and reduce it to a Super Skewb, I guess something like that, and then solve it as such. So basically, this will be reduced to this, and then this becomes a Dayan Gem 5 solve. So how am I going to do that? Well, to convert it to a Dayan Gem 5 or to an F Skewb, what I need to do is I need to pick a Dino cut. I need to reduce it down to 4 different Dino cuts. I need to reduce it down to the edges, rather the central corners of 4 Dino cuts. As you recall, I reduced this one, and then this one, and then this one, and this one was automatically solved. I'm going to do the same thing, so the thing that's homologous to these are going to be, well, these over here. So this is the central corner, which you don't have over here, so this helps act as a guide. But these are going to be considered the corner. Not both of these together, but just this. That's all I have to know. This one I had to coordinate the 3 colors with each other. Here I don't. All I have to do is I have to put in the green triangle, or whichever one you want to start off with, as long as it's a triangle that articulates with another, and we don't care what that one is as of yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in one of the corners, and that corner is ignoring these. I'm actually rolling these in as centers. So this is going to be part of these guys over here. So I'm ignoring these and just putting these, the triangles that articulate with another triangle. So again, not this, but this. This is for those that didn't see the F Skewb or the Dayan Gem 5 and you want to learn how to solve this one first. Then once I get this, I'm going to go to the next cut and solve maybe the orange. And that's the other Dino cut. If this is a Dino cut, I'm going to do another Dino cut that doesn't articulate with this or doesn't destroy this. In other words, it's completely independent, and that would be something like this. Just like with this one is independent, where I can move these independently and they won't destroy each other. So let's just go ahead and proceed and see what we do. This is going to be placed fairly intuitively. So find a green one, not this one because this is part of the center. Where's another green triangle right over here? So I'm just going to lop that in here. And again, orientation means nothing. With this, I found another one over here. And now I just have one more and it's in. So this, and this collectively make up this, and this. And that was pretty easy. Well, now what I'm going to do is I'm quite simply going to put in the another Dino corner that doesn't interfere with this. So in other words, this moves independently. I'm not going to put this one in, or this one in, or this one in because it interferes with it. I'm going to put in one that's separated from a center. Just like this, when I solve this, I had to find one that's separated from an entire center to solve this one here. I didn't put this one here, which is next to it, or this one, but this. So I hope that makes sense, but basically I can put this one in here. So let's put in all these portions over here, all these portions of the little triangles here, little corner pieces. So find a yellow, here's the proper yellow one. So I'm just going to move this in place, being wary of not taking this out, and just simply move it in. Now this is already here, so I don't want to destroy that. So I move this here and just move it in. Here's another one here. Now the good thing about doing it in independent Dino cuts like this is I don't have to worry when I turn this of messing this up. And then I simply put this in. Okay, so now we've got 2. I've got this one in and I've got this one in. Alright, so now that we have these 2 that are in, that are solved, as you recall, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to put in the corners of another Dino slice that does not interfere with these 2. So in this case I had this in, then I put this guy in. Well, I'm now going to put this guy in over here. And it should be pretty straightforward. This one is already in. Let's find another silver. Here's another silver. I need to coordinate it with this guy over here. So in order to do that, I would mix Dino moves and Skewb moves in order to comfortably put it in. But in any case, what I can do to not interfere with this is move this in, then turn it out of the way, and move it back. So that gets this one back in. Finally, we have this guy. What I'm going to do, because I have to coordinate it with this, is once again turn this in here, bump this out of the way to be replaced with this, and then turn it back where I'll get this back into here, and then the green one that I bumped out will also come back. So this is typical kind of intuitive placement and replacement. So we have this move and this move, this corner and this corner are all in. Now to those who saw the Dino Skewb tutorial, do you remember what it was that was kind of neat about the fourth one? We have 1, 2, 3. We have to get the fourth one in that represents the other side. Well, as you recall, it automatically is in. And it's the same process over here. So this orange one, which is separated by these the same way, it's an independent Dino slice. This is in, this is in, and this is in. It just works out that way. So basically, these are my F Skewb centers. F Skewb, well, I guess I should call them corners. So this is in, and this is in, and this is in, as is this. So we want to keep track of these colors. And the way to keep track of that is I just keep looking at my green as a base, and the other ones that are in are always going to be separated by one center. So this one over here, if I look at this center, then it's this one. Look over here, then it's this one. So still no memorizing, but just remember that green is your base.